Good afternoon, my fellow stars and miners. Welcome back to Raccoon City. I have a special announcement from behind the little podium here. The RPD, second floor, and first floor is done. Finally. Oh. Was. I'll repair that another time. So, I've been having a ponder whilst I was doing this. In the 3.5 hours it took just to lay the plan out for the second floor, because oddly enough the second floor on the east wing gave me the exact same trouble as the west wing did. They didn't line up. But I have been through every room meticulously, going through screenshot after screenshot, pausing high def videos, pausing the PS2 videos. I put a button here somewhere, the big green thing. And making sure things were as close as possible as to what you can, well, achieve in Minecraft. But I was also pondering, because although usually when I do these live streams, I usually play for about an hour, 2 hours, and I basically go through my building process. This still feels bare. I think it needs more damage on the floor. But I usually go through my thought process, and you guys kind of sit and build with me. But obviously I upload these videos to YouTube, and I mean 2 hours to sit and watch somebody build is a long time. So my plan is Tuesday and Saturday I'm going to live stream. I'm going to live stream for 2 hours and build, and you can join me on Twitch if you want, and then you can see what I do, ask any questions about the games. I have quite the nerdy knowledge when it comes to Resident Evil. And yeah, just hang out and chill out. And then on Wednesdays, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a 15-20 minute video of basically what I've done that week. So you can see the progress all in one big go, and you don't have to sit and watch me build it. I need a few more pictures on these walls, actually. You know when I said it was done? There's always little details. There's a board here that has the rights. When you read your rights out to people, there's a couple of pictures here on the wall as well. Managed to remember the blood, forget the pictures on the wall. But yeah, the detective's office is done. I was quite impressed with these ceiling fans. Trying to do the hanging lights when you've got a slabbed ceiling is an absolute pain. But in the end, I was kind of happy with the way they came out. They sort of seem like they're just below ceiling level, but still attached to something underneath. Obviously the desks, all the clutter and the paperwork on. I've got the office in here. That desk actually should be against this wall. I've got that the wrong way around. I got this confused with the desk in the other side where you find Marvin. Obviously this would be the safe. I need to rename that. There's a door missing there. Door missing here. I mean they're wedged open anyway. Right, so rest of the first floor. So we've managed to get this corridor finished. Plenty of broken windows. Also, when you start with Claire and you go round the outside of the RPD and then up the stairs to the second floor, these windows aren't there. But they're here when you come through this corridor. Bizarre. Very bizarre. When I say the RPD's done, what I mean is the car park isn't. I mean, you'll find a space, but I wouldn't risk it. Door missing here. I don't remember forgetting this many doors. I wonder if it was zombies. Zombies could have broken them off. Yeah, I ended up going for coral for this wallpaper pattern. I can't speak today. Little tip, if you're ever doing any form of streaming, don't have a big meal 20 minutes before. I honestly, I just want to go to sleep. There'll be a magnum in there eventually. So that's where you'd find the Watchman's Diary. I need to put some shotgun shells in there, so maybe replace that with a brown shulker. But yeah, I've tried to get in as much detail as possible with what we've got. It's got to be zombies. There was definitely a door on here. And I actually tested the trick. You know, where if you put the door at this angle, so when you technically close it, it says in inverted commas, it's actually open. And when it's open, it's actually closed. So it confuses the mob's AI. Only on Java, not on Bedrock. Does not work. I tried, I tested it. And this second floor, oh, this tried and tested me. I tried and tested the game tried and tested me. This bit looks a lot shorter because originally when I'd first planned it out, it came out to here. It just, nothing. But I'm not going to have another ramble about a second floor issue. Basically 3.5 hours of planning it took. And I had to go for tough. I didn't want to. I hate the tough block. It fits. It's the closest colour. Because we don't really have a beige. But, oh, I hate tough. I hate the tough block. Anyway, second floor. It lines up now. Second floor now lines up. I still need to get some better light on that. It is. It's little details. The main thing is getting the majority of the build in place. And then I have this thing where I concentrate on one set of build, then another set of build. Then I go back and do detailing. Sometimes I detail for 2-3 hours. Sometimes I build for 2-3 hours. It depends on my mood. Oh yeah, you're still there, door. Oh, the poor helicopter. Now this room, unfortunately, I had to make a lot smaller than what it actually is, where the liquor would jump through the glass ceiling. It's still not really bright enough. I don't know if that's my contrast. I could probably do with flicking these lights out, really. But it kind of gives it that mood. The reason I've got these here, they're not going to stay there unless I can work out a way to put a specific item in this one. So it goes through a hopper at the back, up to another dropper, and into another hopper, and do the same here. So when both are in, this fires an item out. That's redstone on a level that ain't me. But it's an idea. So if anyone's got any suggestions, please, by all means, feel free, let me know. Down here, we've got Chief Iron's office. And that hole in the wall is back. Right, let's fix that now. I thought I'd done that. Yeah, I did. Actually, I may as well show you. So obviously this would lead through into Iron's Sanctuary, which eventually I need to work out where his Sanctuary links up to the sewer system. So I've got to do the underground part first. I'll do all that off camera. Work out the entire underground mapping layout, because I've got to work out how you get from the clock tower at the other end down as well. That's going to be interesting, just a very single basic light. So I can get all of that to line up. I tried to do a moose head. I followed a tutorial. I don't like following tutorials. I like to build my own way, as you can probably tell. And I could not find a decent moose head. And, right, before I go through this door, please don't laugh. Please don't laugh at my lion. Tiger. It was a tiger. I'm sorry. I won't show you anymore. Yeah. So this here, obviously, this is one of the sacrifices I had to make for getting the second floor to fit and line up. Initially, I planned to have this 3 wide, because normally it's like this kind of colour wood either side, and then there's a grey runner down the middle. And I just couldn't get this 3 wide. Didn't matter what I tried, because if I took it out of this room, it made it even smaller. And obviously this is one of Iron's little antique rooms. And then that made that smaller, and if I took it off this side, it made the other corridor smaller. Obviously, you'd find Sherry hiding in that corner. I need to get some flags. Banners is something I need to sit and have a practice with, and just get a couple of those stood up in that corner. Didn't I have an item in you before? I thought I had a boat in there to look like an emblem. There we go. That'll do. So yeah, it's been. I've had quite a lot done this week. I didn't get as much done as I had planned. I'm not going to specifics, but basically, we've got a lot of new paint job and more carpets. New carpets. So, although I've managed to get the entire second floor done and finished, I really wish when you put stairs down, you could get like two here, place them at an angle so it creates kind of like an indentation. Best way I can describe it, in here. So this is the design I went for the ceiling, because it's the closest I could get to the in-game pattern. This is the thing, I tend to walk around these quite quickly. I don't tend to show off all the little details that I've actually done. I usually do those in my live streams. That's just something I'm going to have to practice for doing shorter videos and just showing what little aspects I've added. And there's a plant missing there as well. See, these are details you probably just think, oh, I would never have thought of that. It's not I wouldn't have thought of it. I know it's there in the game, and I forgot to put it down. So, oh, my goodness me. Settings. Night time. I meant to do this before we started, but I was too busy shooing the dog out the bedroom because I still didn't finish my tea, and I know for a fact, given the opportunity, that tea will be hers. She will wolf it. Right, always day off. It's got to be night. It looks better at night. Even the inside, because I've used tiles in certain places, a lot of this I have tested day and night to see what it actually looks like. So I need to put in called copper plate there, because that's obviously where you'd use the valve and burst the water. I was tempted to put a dispenser up there, but there's no real need because you can get into Iron's office anyway, and the water would just spill out down here and go all the way over here. But yeah, that's my crashed helicopter. A little bit of damage to the building. A few cracks up there. There's the water tower. A few additional pipes here. I'll tell you an interesting fact. Well, it's interesting for me anyway. What I found staring at these screenshots is, I mean, I have been playing the Resident Evil games for a long time. I even had a couple of records, like proper world records. I thought I knew the games like almost to a T. I never knew until I was staring at these screenshots. There is 5 windows in the second floor of the main hall in the RPD. Now bear in mind, you don't actually see them when you're on the inside, but where they are on the outside makes sense on the inside, because on the other side it doesn't have windows, because that's where the library is and leads to the clock tower. So you'd feel that, because now I've got to try and remember this now. I get my mind confused between the games and the books. I believe this used to be a museum that was renovated into the RPD, whereas I think it was either a library or the town hall in the books. So it would make sense that, yeah, it's a slightly dodgy looking building historically as well, but it would have windows to let more light in, especially in a main lobby hall. And it was just, I was looking at it, I was thinking, there isn't windows there, I haven't seen those on the inside. Somebody is going mental. Who is trying to message me? They really want me to play Minecraft. I'm in the middle of streaming, pal. Wow, my goodness. Right, so, outside courtyard. Yeah, I managed to get some more of the outside done. And that's not all. That is really not all. So, out here, managed to get the road in. Finally, I am going to make a start on those eventually for Claire's B scenario or Leon's B scenario, whichever way you want to do it. That will lead down into the car park in underground, eventually, hence the hole in the ground. So I can start mapping that out. I don't know whether you can tell with the floor, but it's textured with a lot of coral and gravel. Now, until you get up here, you can't really, you can start seeing the distinction as to where I've sort of gone. And there's a specific reason for this. So when you're down here, I mean, it's noticeable, but barely. But you actually recognise it on a subconscious level. I know because I let a friend of mine have a quick test run on this. And they came wandering through here. And they're like, oh, okay. Start doing this. And it goes up here. And they went down here. And they turned around and they're like, oh, what's over here? It's a path. They didn't notice. They didn't notice it was slightly discoloured, but they did subconsciously and automatically followed it. And I did it this way for a specific reason. Footpaths in real life get worn and faded, and they look slightly different from the rest of the path, any like unwalked areas. And I didn't even realise. It wasn't until, I mean, I did this deliberately because I wanted it to look like it was well worn and walked on. But it wasn't until my friend had a go that I was like, they didn't even mention it. They just picked up on it subconsciously. It just happened. So I was quite impressed. So I think that is something that is kind of underestimated in Minecraft. Subtleties. So I might do some up here, but to be fair, I don't. Sometimes you can make a build look too busy, if you know what I mean. If you start putting in too many details. So, for example, originally on the back of these builds, I had bricks and bits of slabs and all sorts everywhere just to try and give it a bit more texture. Whereas now I've just broken it up a little bit just to give it a bit more character. So the RPD, as it stands, is pretty much done now. Apart from the underground. So, but if you're thinking, oh, really, that took you a week? I mean, it took you 3 hours to do the layout. Oh, obviously, you're pretty slow. I am not playing Minecraft with you. Stop it. Thinking, what have you been playing at? Well, the truth is, I have actually been on my solo world. But the other truth is, I might have been a little bit preoccupied, and I haven't put the gate in. Why did I take that down again? I took that down for a reason. See, this is why you always go back and double check your builds. This is why I kind of like doing these videos. Because you'll hear me be like, oh, it's because I've forgotten something. I think it's a good way to do it. Oops. Do I want that? No, that looks horrible. Right, we'll leave that as that then. Yeah, and I finally smashed that door off. I was sick of being able to get in and not being able to get out, even in creative. So I added a little bit of an outdoor path here because, I mean, you never see that part of the game. But when you stood here, you'll notice there's a massive generator here that's obviously hooked up to something, either the central heating or the plumbing, whichever. So, did been somebody needing to get round to it at some point. Excuse me. Which then leads to this. So, I just thought, well, we need to start adding a few extra outdoor details, little aircon units, bits of the building that you don't see, just add in your own flair. Now, the reason I put this tree here is on 3 of the 3D models that was done on the Resident Evil wiki fandom, all had a tree there. Now, I don't ever recall seeing one, even when you play as Jill, because when you play as Jill, you run actually along the back of there. There's actually a crashed bus. It's where the Nemesis jumps off it in Mercenaries. But I don't ever recall seeing a tree there. Now, the street. I was tempted to sort of narrow this in a bit because it felt a bit too wide, but then I remembered you do actually have to do a bit of dodging and weaving to get around the zombies. I've added some bits of broken wood, some bits of stone. I've left these wheels. I really need to work out how to use a cartography table. But I've also added a few little bonuses. Now, I've got mobs spawning off at the minute because they were absolutely everywhere. And just a little bit of glow lichen on that side, so they only spawn on this side. So when you get off that bus, oh boy, there's going to be a few zombies waiting for you. But again, that's not all. See, I'm kind of half waiting for daytime to come back around. And it kind of is. It kind of is now. So, I made a start on Resident Evil 3. Jill's section, downtown, before you get to the shopping district. Because downtown, Jill's and Claire's and Leon's kind of mishmash. Kind of cross. So here is where I made a start. And just to give you an example, this is the RPD. It's quite a big building. Now, this is actually, I think I've mentioned this before, it's going to be harder to do than the rest of the city because you've got to fit things in. I mean, we've pretty much got Leon's in already. Why did I put that there again? Why did I put a massive... Oh, yeah, because I was testing something. I was testing some light fittings, some lighting techniques, and also seeing how it would look if I started it as a walkthrough at night. That will probably get torn down. I'll probably make up some city or buildings to make it a complete city. But I've made a start. I have made a little bit of a start on the planning and the structuring of the entire downtown section. And I can tell you from doing this once before a few years ago as an inexperienced builder to doing it now, going off maps and everything else, this was fun. This was actually fun. I mean, I'm just looking at this bare bones now and I can tell you exactly what and where everything is and goes. That's Jack's bar for starters. That's where you get the secret change of clothes if you complete the game on hardest difficulty with an S rank. Down there is where you'll get the shotgun. Here's where you actually start as Jill. Well, not actually start. Where you start as Jill will be down here in a big section here, which then would lead through here, cut through here, that then brings you out into this building where you'd find Dario. Yeah, and it's going to be fun. The only few little issues I had, you'll probably notice them with the way some of these lines are drawn, is this entire area is a massive semicircle, which means that some of these paths were actually diagonal. The entire Bar Jack and this section here, and this entire road here, was all on a diagonal. I'll be darned, absolutely darned, if I have to build an entire building diagonally. No. I throw my fence at you. It's just no. But anyways, that's why we cheat. That's why you find little ways. So, eventually when the buildings are up, I'm going to have them staggered so they seem like they flow around in a circle, almost. Or feel like you're going diagonal, feel like the directions you're going are actually fitting. So, I couldn't not just look at the map and copy it. It was not possible. So, what I've had to do is do lots of tweaks, lots of little nitpicking basically to work out how things are going to fit, where things are going to fit. And this is the layout I've come up with. So, fingers crossed, all being well. Next week, by next week, I want this bit finished. This entire section, all the surrounding buildings, all the interiors there, the groundwork, everything. All this bit, including this bit here, I still need to work out, because there's not really a proper decently good angle of the coffee shop here. I also need to work out what crashed vehicles are here. I know here, is it here? Here, there is a crashed minibus. And I think there's a lorry here, but I'm not sure, because you can't see it from this angle, because there's a fence there. So, it's going to be fun. Oh yeah, squeezing this building in was a little bit tight as well. This is where obviously you come in as Jill. She walks over here. We got to get out of here. What? You're crazy. No, blah. And then they go off this way. So, I've got a lot to get on. This road, I ended up having to move this entire section here. So from here all the way to here was, I think it was 8 blocks back. I had to move it all up one to bring the road round so that fit the map, and also to shorten this road, because you'd come up here with Jill, and that's where you'd go in, the car repair shop where the ground caves in, and you also get the wire for the tram, and that will eventually move on to this area. Again, as you can see, where Claire B's, I always call it Claire B's, that's just canon. That's just the canon story. So Claire B's would run, Jill's would run up and go behind, which means all the screenshots I was looking at of the introduction, of the CGI intro, I might not need, because Jill's is actually going to cover it on the back. And I didn't know this because this, believe it or not, this was as far as I got. I'd actually got all that bit down there built before. 5 years ago. 4 years? 5 years? Something like that. A long time ago, before it got deleted. I'd actually got all that done, and I was up to about here. And that took me over a year. And this is how much I've done in, 6 weeks? So my knowledge of the game has definitely improved, and my building skill and etiquette has definitely improved. But yes, originally I'd built to here, and I planned on doing all the shopping district, and never ever got round to mapping it out. And then when the update dropped and I loaded in, and I was over here somewhere, and I looked up, and half the RPD was missing, and all the surrounding area was gone, I almost cried. I actually genuinely almost cried. But now, I think that's going to do it for today. So, RPD, pretty much done. A few little bits of detailing to add in. Ground layout, done, ready. So I will probably live stream Saturday. I think that's my plan. I'm probably going to say 5, maybe 6 o'clock. I'll do that, maybe whack it down, get a good few 2 hours in, get as much built as possible. Then after that, same again Tuesday, stream on Tuesday. People, if you want to join, like I say, come watch me build, come chill, hang out, ask me a couple of questions, ask me what I know about Resident Evil, ask me why my voice is so annoying. And then, yeah, next week, I will start doing 2... how long was this one gone on for? How long have I rabbited on for? It doesn't tell me. He never tells me. I'll tell you in a second. Half an hour. Bang on, almost. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, so maybe 20, 25, 30 minutes videos of just recapping where I'm up to. Shorter bites, less boring. Just gives you more of an insight. Maybe what I'll start doing is throwing in either some more building tips or even Resident Evil facts. Maybe even some dad jokes. Who knows? We'll have to see how it goes. It's all learning. We're all learning. Well, I'm learning. Anyway, with that being said, thank you for coming back to the world of survival horror. I've been Reaper. Please, be good people. Take care. Bye-bye.